What's up there YouTube, it's Clormo with another part of my Logic Pro X tutorial series, and I'm gonna be focusing on breaking down Alchemy, right? Going in depth into Alchemy in the next few set of videos. And with that being said, what I'm gonna be concentrating today is talking about the browse and simple portions of the different views of the logic interface. So it's going to be split in two parts, because when I go into advanced, I'm going to start talking about the different sections that advanced will show up. So in the previous video, I did an overview of the instrument, right? So you will see, if you need to right now, go into that video. I suggest you go into that video and check the overview of the different sections and all that, so when I start talking about them in depth, you are not lost and you know where to find stuff quicker, and what to expect. So with that being said, just a little clarification: this video keeps going the current route of the Amazon gift card giveaway. So all you need to do to participate is just be a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber right now, please subscribe and comment on the video. I'm gonna have a disclaimer in the comment section, as I usually put a comment, the first comment, and also in the description, so that everybody is aware of what the dates that the round covers and what you need to do. Just a reminder. So with all of that out of the way, let's get right into the Logic Pro window here. And I have just an Apple loop here that came from a guitar, and I already cleared out everything on my Alchemy instrument. Just gonna play that. It's gonna play with a sine wave, so it's gonna sound weird. So obviously it doesn't sound like a guitar, but that's what I took it from. And I just did that so you don't get bored of me talking, because I'm gonna talk more than do after I start, tweaking around some parameters. Then you won't get bored. So the first thing that I wanted to cover, that I briefly mentioned in the previous part of this season 3 series, is the fact of how Alchemy operates and creates sounds in the end, and how it's different from the other synths because of that. So I think that it's a good point now in the game to go and talk to you about that a little bit real quick, because I didn't want to do it in the previous part because it was more of an overview video. So Alchemy, like I mentioned before, create sounds in a very particular way. Is that each sound can contain up to 4 sources, and we saw that those are labeled A, B, C, and D, and each one of those consists of different sampling and synthesis and modulation parameters or elements, and each one of those sources may have a combination of those elements, sampling and synthesis elements, together, and then separating into the 4 sources. After you have that set up, or you work that out when designing your sound, then you can go ahead and filter independently each source. Each source can have up to 3 filters per source, right? So you can filter those independently, and then you are given there the definition of the sound, right? Its tone, its basic shape, and all that. The synthesis part of the whole deal, like we have done with the previous synths. And then the second stage of that sound creation when you're using Alchemy, is that there are 2 main filters that are separate from the source filters, and those are used to shape and alter the combined sound from the 4 sources, right? So when you go into each source and filter it and do all you need to do in your synthesis, everything that's combined and it's produced as a sound goes to the main 2 filters, and those all those filtering options and all that combination applies per voice. So remember the concept of voices. So as the more voices you have in your instrument, the more notes that you can play at the same time and register with the instrument, right? So after all of those voices have been mixed together and filtered through all those filter options that I just said, then they will pass through the effects. And the effects is this tab down here, which will be talked much later in this series. And then any modulation of those effects, it's applied to the whole audio signal that that comes from that main filter section that I just spoke about. And then from there you basically have an output of sound. The filters, the independent and the main filters, can be applied in parallel or in series, like we have seen in other synths. So that may sound, all of that I just said, how it works, it might sound a little bit complicated, but as I'm talking about it, you should be seeing a separate graphic that comes from the manual, which explains all of that I just said in a little, like a flow chart type of manner. So it will be much clearer to understand. So with that out of the way, let's get into the main thing that we want to talk about here, which is the interface. So the Alchemy interface has three main views, which is these three buttons here. You have the browse, which is the default view that you get when you open the instrument. You have simple, which looks like this, and then you have advanced. So like I said, when I get to advanced in the next part, I'm going to start talking just about concentrating on one of the areas, which will be sources, and so on and so forth, until I cover everything. And then although the three views show you the the performance options window, I'm not going to be discussing that here. I'm going to be discussing that in the end. So keep that in mind. So I'm just going to concentrate today on the browse and the simple options. So or the interface view. So the browse button, when you turn it on, this is exactly what you see, right? You have your browse view, and your browse view, it's more tailored to live performance, right? Right out of the box, and just choosing presets. So there's no sound design involved. None of the sound design options are available to you, and the only thing that you can do is just choose presets around, and then this performance controls are gonna load up per the different presets, and you can just hit play and play away. But before I do some of that, let's start from the top. You have your name bar, you have your preset browser, you have a search option here, a search function, and like I just said, you have the performance controls down at the bottom, which are seen in all of the views. So let's talk a little bit about the name bar, because even though this is pretty simple to understand on your own, there is a few things that you can do that call for me doing a little bit more explanation on them. So the name bar just has another way of accessing the different presets and other functions. So the first thing you have is this preset field, like a pop-up menu. So just by pressing on it, you have the same full list of over 3,000 presets, and you can choose from any of them, and we're going to be doing that in just a second. You can also select them by just going with the left and right arrows. And one thing that I want to note here is that the settings from the preset browser determine what you have available in the pop-up menu, and vice versa. So if I were to for example, filter by any of these, by category, for example, my name bar will just show the different, you see, it will show the presets in a way that it's taking into account what I've been doing, what I just did here, which is just a category arpeggiator, right? And that's simple to understand on its own, but if you start working with this and you sometimes you can't find something from the pop-up menu, or you lose your way around this, it's just remember that these are kind of tied together, and any of the filtering options is going to alter what you have available to you, because you're practically eliminating what you want to see, right? Then moving on, we have this file button here. When you press that button, you're giving these three options. So you can save consolidated, you can clear, which I'm going to do. And clearing is just going to clear everything from the performance, and it's just going to put that sine wave as I played in the beginning. Then the refresh library just is going to scan and refresh the whole library of sounds that you have in your database, which is similar to other portions of Logic Pro that you can do. And then save consolidated is just going to save a copy of the preset that you have at the moment, and will also copy all the files used, except if they are what it's known as factory samples. Since factory samples are samples that Logic has in the factory samples folder that are used in many of the other Alchemy options, is just gonna not save those. They're not gonna be copied because it would be redundant, right? It will just try to save over the ones that are already in the factory folder. So that's all you need to know there. Then the save button is just gonna save the changes that you have done to any of the active presets, except again if it's a preset that's part of the factory database or the factory bank. What it's going to do is just bring a save as dialog and let you save it with a different name, which will prevent you from overwriting that factory preset. Then you have the save as button, which is just going to open a browser window. If I hit that, this is what that becomes, and this is just showing you where typically those presets are saved. So by default it's going to save them in this folder arrangement like you see there. And same thing if you hit save and it's a factory bank. So the save as is going to open that, and then you can just save your own preset, and it's going to save it with a few attributes that you can set, like if you have filled out the artist name section on the preferences, then it's going to put your whatever name you have there, etc, etc. Then moving to the right, you have the quality pop-up menu. I have mentioned this before a lot because it's important if your computer does not have enough power that you be mindful of this. Obviously the Great and Ultra would be the best sounding. Great typically gives you all you need as far as sound if you have a very powerful system like mine. And that's not bragging, just letting you know we can use Ultra. And even knowing that I have that a good system that can handle the Ultra, I don't need to. I just don't want to load the computer unnecessarily. So great, if you can go up to great, just leave it there, I would suggest. And then you have this volume knob at the end, which is just it's just going to serve as your overall volume control, so like other synths that we have seen. And that is just in that way because it adjusts the levels at the very end of the signal, so at the output portion. So that's what we have for simple, right? I mean for the browse, sorry about that. And after talking about the name bar, let's talk a little bit about the preset browser, which is this window here, which is composed of all these elements that we have here. So we talk about the name bar. Now we're going to talk about the preset browser. So the preset browser is just simple. You can search for the presets that it has. That's the stock or the ones that it comes with. As you add more, this number is gonna grow, obviously, and you can also put comments on it. You can sort, you can tag, you can edit, you can search, and you can rate. And that's a pretty neat function. You will see why later. So again, you have, this is the browser view, and this would be the name list view. So if you do that, right, the name list view, you will see the same type of deal. Like I said, any of this filtering will give you a different result on the name list. So let's go from left to right here. So we have a category, is just gonna give you a few options for category. Let's start loading something up. So since this was a guitar, let's start with a guitar, and filtering that, you quickly notice how some of these things have been changing, right? Because this at the very end will be your presets column, right? And this is just a result of whatever I do here. So if I start with guitar, my subcategories are reduced because that's what we have for guitar instruments or guitar presets. And if I want to go with layered, and then you have these two here, which are attribute columns. So you have different attributes to choose from, right? There's a list for the first one, and there's the second, the same list. It's twice, right? So you can give up to 2 attributes to further filter down your stuff. So let's see what we can choose here. Let's choose let's go with jazz, and let's go with let's see, nasty. Let's go with nasty. So there's only one thing there for, one result. And then the rating column, it's pretty simple. You can rate the presets, not only the ones that the instrument has already, but the ones that you create. When you filter stuff, right, if you, let's say, when you rate stuff, let's say I give this a 5-star rating. If I give this a 5-star rating, well, 3 great ones are, let's do that. When you start, you see them grades that you haven't rated anything. You haven't rated that preset. So if I give this 5 stars, like I was saying, and then I go to all, and all, see how now that's the very first on top, and that's because anything that you have rated will take precedence over in the filter selection. So I don't need to refilter again because I gave it 5 stars because of that thing, because I knew that I was gonna delete the filters, but I still wanted to use that preset, right? And you can also click and resort the rest, right? Like you can go from bottom to top, from top to bottom, like we had before. And same with the in the presets column. If you go from there to there, it will just do. Let's go take this to the very top, and it will take in alphabetical order, and it will negate the rating sorting, because you either sort them by rating or you can sort them by preset. So if I go again and check the rating, see how it goes from to the bottom or goes to the top, and we'll keep that. So just give it a listen with that. As you notice, when I went there, the different performance options changed. Let's just give it a quick listen. That's a very simple way of creating sound already without doing much with Alchemy, and giving this your sounds and giving Logic much more open and much more leeway to be creative and create realistic sound. So now let's keep going to the bottom here. Notice that when I selected that preset from the preset column, the comments or loaded, section loaded with this comment here saying aftertouch introduces fluctuations in the distortion. So there are no tags, but we can actually edit these and put tags to it. So the tags, the names, all of that stuff comes into play when using the search function, and I'm gonna get there in a second. But the user tags button, when you press it, it will give you a pop-up menu that either deletes tags or creates a new tag. So let's create a new tag there, and this is what it will bring up, right? So you can type anything there, and when you hit OK, it will add it to that preset, and it will appear in this window. I'm just not gonna do that right now, but actually, does it? Do you see that it just came up even if I hit save? That's stupid, I think. But anyway, you can delete it if you want by going to user tag, delete tag, and then whatever tags you have for that preset are gonna appear here in the pop list, and you can just delete it like I just did. And then below that we have an edit button, which will just open an enlarged view of the browser window. It's just hit the performance options and all these other tags here, and what you can do is you can just select right now I already had that particular preset selected, and it just gave me different things. Let's see, right here I can go ahead and do the same thing. I can hit more, and if I hit control or command, it will deselect them. But let's say I select a bunch of them. So here it's more dynamic if I choose all of those, and then I can just go down here and edit and put whatever I want. But I'm trying not to do that, right? And it's just a way of doing some, more like a mass, would be like a mass update, right? Like if you're mass tagging, like you would do in iTunes, for example, right? One last thing then that I want to show you in the search field, this is just simple. If I type guitar, for example, it will just bring everything that's related to guitar, right? Nothing groundbreaking there. It's just a search function. But what you can do is use a wildcard function, which is the minus key. So if I do minus guitar, it will bring me everything that's not including a guitar or not related to a guitar. You can do the same thing, right? So notice how the presets went down. It's because it deleted or it removed anything that had to do with a guitar. Let's say if I put here bass, it will do the same thing, right? Let's say you can use it in various ways. That search function, just use it as you normally would, with different keywords or tags, or however you sort and organize your library of from the browser presets. And you can also negate those and then filter down by negating a search string. So that's pretty interesting to say the least. So with all of the browse view cover, right? We covered the name, we covered the browser window, we covered the search function. We gave a little listen to. Let's listen to that again. Take a break from me talking. So then we have simple, and with that I'm going to be closing the tutorial. Just the simple, just like I said, better suited for live performance. So you just go right away and start playing with that and going from the pads and making some crazy transitions here and there and doing some stuff. Or I can just start trying live the different presets, right? I can bring them up also, but this is tied to the browse, so right now it's showing all of them. But if I were to filter some stuff, I just have that one, but I can go back via this drop down and refilter, right, and bring everything up again. So that's it for now, and remember that this was just try to go in depth and make it a little bit more easily accessible for later. If you just wanted to understand the browser window options, you will just see this video. You don't need to sit through a longer video. Then in the next part, I'm gonna be going into the advanced tab, which doesn't change anything that I just said before, nor the some of the stuff that I just said from this portion here. It just introduces the synthesis and sampler option. So I'm gonna be focusing on the first quadrant here, global sources in advanced view. So that's gonna be the next video that on this Alchemy in-depth series. And with that, I'm gonna leave you for now. Thanks for the support. You know where to find me. If you're looking at one of my videos for the very first time, then look at the graphic below to know where you can find me and see my other work, not only related to Logic Pro X tutorials, but to music and writing as well. See you in the next video. Peace out, YouTube.